Now back to Kincaid and South Tunes, 97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
All right, coming up at 8:05, it's a Wednesday, which means Adam Schefter will join us. Did I potentially make a major screw-up with some vacation planning? As John Kincaid pointed out to me yesterday.
I didn't give you another text. I think you did.
Oh, man.
Because I think Sunday night we will know.
All right, we'll ask Shefty coming up.
But you'll still have plenty of reaction.
Because I am very good at planning vacation around this job.
You're very good at it.
And I may have missed a big one, Sean. We'll talk to Shefty about it coming up in a few minutes. But obviously the majority of our show today has been reacting to the firing of Daryl Morey. He is out as president of basketball operations for the Sixers. Some of our questions for you, other than just overall reaction, is what do you want the new president to do? First order of business. And then a lot of you out there were upset that Nick Nurse did not go out with him. I'm not sitting here telling you that Nick Nurse is like Larry Brown. I don't think I've seen the real Nick Nurse. I don't think he's had the real opportunity. John, I was looking at the Sixers starters last year, not the season that just ended, where they get to the second round. I'm looking at the team that finished with 24 wins, where a lot of people wanted him fired after that year. You had guys in the starting lineup that aren't in the NBA anymore.
Okay.
And so I don't think Nick Nurse is like Gershon Yabusele started 43 games for the Sixers last year, and he's a DNP in the NBA now. I don't understand the vitriol that's being shown toward Nick Nurse. I'm not sitting here trying to defend the guy because I don't know who he is with the Sixers, but that's the point. I don't know who he is.
Don't you think some of it is let the new guy hire their guy?
Yes, I think that's the most logical response.
Okay, so...
But there weren't people that were just responding with that. They were saying, oh, my God, he stinks too. Get him out of here.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
I don't know how we know if the guy stinks or not.
I think that's crazy.
Like,
that's pretty stupid.
I don't know. You might disagree with some of the decisions that he made. Like, I had a guy hounding me, Game 3, Sixers-Knicks. It was a Friday night. I was relaxed. The gummy hit. Like, it was great. I was watching the game. And this guy's attacking me. Nick Nurse is an idiot. How come he's not playing Bona more? And I'm like, really? Like, that's like you want to fire Nick Nurse. That's what he tweeted me. Fire Nick Nurse because he's not playing a Dem Bona. Do you want to play a Dem Bona? Like, he stinks too.
I don't want to watch a Dem Bona.
Never. So that's the thing. Like, I get it. He has not been perfect, but I look at the options that he's had to work with when they're healthy. Think about it. Even when Embiid, George, and Maxey are all on the court at the same time, you're turned to the bench and it's, all right, I got cinder block feet Drummond. I have a guy that does not know how to play the game of basketball in a Dem Bona. I have Quentin Grimes, who my boss is obsessed with, who can't score the basketball. I have Justin Edwards, who some days he can light it up, some days he should not play in the NBA. Like, you look down the bench and I got 45-year-old Kyle Lowry. That's why I can't be as critical as the next guy is about the head coach. I just can't be.
You just got to be fair to him. I'm fine with it. I would have been fine if he went. And I'm fine if he stays. So that's it. I'd be fine. If he had went, I would have understood it. And I'm fine if he stays.
I wonder how the players feel about him. I know Maxey, I don't know if he came out and said it or if somebody reported that Maxey loves Nick Nurse. But then again, Maxey loved Doc Rivers. I think Maxey's just a nice guy. I'm curious how the rest of the team feels about him. Do they think he had a fair shake? That's a whole other conversation. What do we got on the Davis Honda text line? Feel the Davis difference. Check them out in Burlington, 610-632-0975.
Yeah, Elijah in South Philly checks in saying it's not the system, it's the system, not the roster, I should say. That's why guys don't perform the same. Instead of playing into a system, here they're asked to do ISO. Everyone on the team ISOs every time they score except for Oubre.
All right, well, I mean, again, he's kind of strapped to figuring out how to make it work with Joel Embiid. And there's the nights when Joel Embiid's available, and there's the nights when Joel Embiid isn't available.
That's the problem.
Right? Like, was anybody complaining about the system in games 5, 6, or 7 against the Celtics? Like, no. Boston couldn't stop it. A very well-coached team could not stop it. it's more, to me, it's more roster than system. But I get it. Look,
Correct.
There's people that have their opinions. All right, joining us now, Johnny, as he does every single Wednesday at this time, and it is schedule leak season. Tomorrow
and
is
he's
schedule-
part of the leaking. I mean, seriously.
Tomorrow's schedule release day, and then Friday is my favorite day of the year when I get John Kincaid to play W's and L's. Shefty, good morning.
Well, good morning, guys. I just want to say something. John, it's not leaking, it's announcements.
Yes.
There's not been a leak yet.
Oh, yes,
There
because these are announcements. They are strategic announcements.
Correct. And to me, the way that this has turned into something, really, it's amazing. I go back to my Denver newspaper days back in the early 1990s, and when the schedule came out, I advocated to write a big story about the schedule, and I always made a big deal about the opener or a holiday game or whatever it may be, a primetime Monday night game. But this has turned into beyond an event, like everything with the NFL. But and now what they've done is now we get like Monday they say, an international game, and then Tuesday is the Sunday night game, and then Wednesday is the prime time. They might as well, after the draft, literally every single day, just announce another game from that point on, like every day.
I think it's great. I love it, and I love schedule release day. It's like a holiday to me, so I can't wait for any of it. So it's going to be great.
No, you know what? And like I said, it's a big day for a lot of people planning travel, planning their schedules, all those things. Yeah, and we're coming up. Look, in my mind, the opponents. It's not all that dramatic, but it is interesting, and people can begin to look at. And to me, what it really is, it's an unofficial start to looking ahead to 2026 and all that's ahead for the football season.
So, Shefty, I know that it's not out yet, so I'm guessing read the tea leaves a little bit. One of the things us morning show people always keep an eye on is what time are these games. Eagles had a lot more 1 o'clock games last year than I think we expected because they won the Super Bowl. Do you believe the Eagles will be all over the place in prime time this year?
Last year, they were 1 o'clock after winning a Super Bowl. That surprises me.
They had 6 1 o'clock games
Six
last
1
year.
o'clocks. Yep.
And week three was the biggest shock because it was the Eagles-Rams rematch of the divisional round, and it was a 1 o'clock game. They had 3 straight 1 o'clock games last year, then 2 straight 1 o'clock games midway through the season, and then one later in the year against the Raiders.
As opposed to the Dallas Cowboys, who have played 1 o'clock game in the opener of the last 25 years. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and they've won. It's been 25 years plus since they won. It's amazing. So are you expecting a lot of prime time for the Eagles?
Look, to me, the Eagles are one of the marquee franchises. There are a lot of stars. There's a lot of intrigue. I don't know how that breaks down in terms of 1-4 prime time. No idea. All I can tell you is I'm going to guess we get 3-4 primetime Eagle games. That's what I would guess.
Well,
right?
I'll bet that the other Cowboys-Eagles game is a Sunday night game on Sunday Night Football. They love to do that. Sunday Night Football has had one of the Eagles-Cowboys games, I think, like 8 out of 9 years. So it seems like that would probably happen. But look, they do it by TV markets and everything. And Dallas and the Giants starting the season for you guys, starting out the year is a big one too. In the beginning of the year, that's like they chose them because of the showcase markets. You get the Giants and you get the Cowboys.
Well, I mean, you can say whatever you want. The Cowboys still are a huge draw. Draw. No matter what happens, they could go the next century without winning a Super Bowl, and they would be the opening Sunday night game most years. Like, that's just the way it kind of goes sometimes. So, Eagles are a big draw. Giants are a big draw. That division always has been a big draw, continues to be a big draw, and it'll be reflected in the schedule this week.
Shefty, we're going to ask you to look into your crystal ball a couple of times today. Okay. One of them being about like the next big team because you've hit on the last two. But before we do that, I'm curious. You mentioned the want to see certain teams. Is there going to be a team this year that the league is saying, hey, we really want to circle them. We really want to put them on the national stage a lot? That's not like the traditional Cowboys, Eagles.
Wait. back to before. You said I've hit on the last two teams. Two teams. What I've hit on.
So
the last
2
teams.
years
It's been
ago,
amazing what you've
John
done.
asked you 2 years ago, "Hey, who's the team that not enough people are talking about?" You said Commanders. They get to the NFC Championship game. He asked you the exact same question last year. You said Patriots. They go to the Super Bowl.
How about that? That's pretty good. We're giving you your props. Now you just
Thank
got to
you.
go 3 for 3.
Yeah, no pressure.
Hold on. Let me look at the team. You know what? 1 second.
Well, you
know what? Really, it's the draft order, right? It's like almost looking at the inverted draft order and saying, here's the team that I like this year. That's okay. There's one. Hold on. There's one that I like. Hold on.
I mean, this is a big moment. This I run to my betting app now at this point with Shefty.
There we go.
Well, by the way, if you had run to the betting apps the last couple of years after I said this, you would have won a lot of
You would
money.
have cashed in
That's
nicely.
what I'm saying. So who do we got this year, Shefty?
Well, I'll say this to you. I'm going to build up to it. The Jets are going to win more games than people think, but that's not my team. The Browns are going to win more games than people think. The Titans are going to be better than people think. But the team that I'm putting into that category right now, of what we're talking about, the characteristics and traits, I'm going to go right now with the New Orleans Saints.
I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's bad. A division that doesn't have a powerhouse in it.
I like what they're doing offensively.
Yes, a team that ascended last year, especially in the second half of the season. That's not a bad one. Keep an eye on that. So Saints,
all right,
run to it with a left.
By the way, I don't even know what is the over/under win total on the Saints. Like, because here's what I say: the Saints. You always have to find the good young quarterback that begins to show signs.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they're probably 6.5 or 7.
I'll check for you.
That's what I'm guessing.
Oh, by the way, and the other one you're not going to like, the Giants. The Giants and the Saints would be actually like. I know I mentioned those other teams, but I would put the Giants in that category.
By the way, they both have the exact win total. 7.5 is the over/under for both the Saints and the Giants.
Okay, I'm going to go a dual answer this year.
Whoa.
A dual answer. Okay? And by the way, I had no idea this question was coming, but I'm going to go Giants and Saints both to beat the over.
There you go. Okay, those are good things there.
This is important information.
We like that.
Now, speaking of important information, Shefty, I have a big question for you.
Yeah.
I am very good, and John can attest to this, at scheduling out my vacations. Knowing, and I know you have to do the same thing, knowing when football season is, knowing when the NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs are.
Yeah.
I made a major mistake. I have June 1st off.
He's going to be off on Monday, June 1st. Can you believe it?
After all of this.
And you know
I have June 1st off.
Hey, Andrew, I got to tell you something. That is a fireable offense.
And
hold on, I'm not
Come
done.
on.
I'm not done. For as much as you've asked me about that one person, the show has been centered on this guy for the last year.
I know, man.
And then that's like saying you made plans to go to a movie and then you get called away at the 80-minute mark in the final 20 minutes of the movie without getting to see the ending. Are you out of your mind?
Apparently I am. Now I have to ask you, because June 1st, do we do mornings here? Can you, as a favor to me, Shefty, break the news at like 10:01?
That's never happening. He's breaking it on Get Up. Come on.
First of all, I don't know what time it's going to be breaking.
Yes, you do.
Well, if it's after 10 a.m., then I'm in the clear.
It's going to be broken by the time Greeny has his third cup of coffee. It is broken.
Oh, I don't think so.
Really?
All right.
Well, no, I think it'll come out if I had to guess that the week before. Some people will be trying, the trade looks like whatever, expecting to go. But I'm just telling you, those two teams are not going to agree and finalize that trade until it's June 1st. They're just not.
Right. So do they sleep in? Like it's the summertime?
Are you kidding me?
Does Howie sleep in, and does the deal happen at like 11 o'clock in the morning?
Don't talk about sleeping around this story. Please. There's been enough of that. Let's not do that. Let's keep that out of it.
I would just say to you that I don't know. My guess, just a random, that afternoon.
Okay, good. So I'm in the clear, John. I'm in the clear. Then it's not fireable.
I'll tell you both right now, there is zero chance that Stephen A. Smith starts his show without knowing what that trade is.
By the way, I mean, how do you want to classify it? Like you're saying, of course.
The trade will be out in the morning shows. It'll be out for the morning shows that morning.
But the trade may not be done.
See?
At that point, and it may not be done.
So I might be in the clear then.
Schefter, Adam Schefter right now.
Andrew, there's going to be a ton of A.J. Brown talk on June 1st, no matter what. So you're working June 1st, and then you're
No, I'm off June 1st. I did the old Friday, Monday.
All right, lie detector test right now. Do you believe the trade is already done?
No, it's not.
No, it's not done by they haven't officially filed the paperwork. Do you believe the trade is already in place?
I think both teams have a good enough idea of where it's headed. You want it? Yeah. This is what I'm looking at. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna get this worked out. Like it's one of those. I don't really. I'm just telling you that they were very cognizant of not breaking, especially the Patriots who have been in trouble with the league before. Like, they're not going to do what needs to get done to have the trade. Like, again, do they both have a strong idea of where it's going, what it's going to take, and that it's, yes. That's why we reported the Monday before the draft that he was likely to be traded to the Patriots. I've said to you before, I expect there to be a first-round draft pick involved in that deal. My intuition is that it will be a 2028 one. Okay?
Anything in addition to that, because there are some reports out of the Philadelphia media that there will be an additional pick involved that might be involved in the 2027 draft.
That would be my guess, but I don't know that part. And I don't think the two teams have finalized that part.
Well, finalizing means that they filed the paperwork.
Okay,
that's sort of semantics. That's semantics. A.J. Brown's going to be a Patriot.
I've thought that all along.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I can't wait to react to it June 2nd.
And June 2nd, there'll be plenty to react to.
And I can't wait to talk to you June 3rd, Shefty.
Thank you, buddy.
All about it. Thanks for the time as always,
Adam.
man. We'll talk to you next
Andrew,
week.
You're back June 3rd?
No, he's back June 2nd.
But we'll talk to you June 3rd because that's Wednesday.
God, Andrew.
Don't worry, Shefty. I'll be here. I'll be here.
Okay. I'm not worried. I'm not off June 1st. I know that.
There you go.
All right, we'll talk to you next week. Thanks, Shefty.
Thank you.
See you, buddy. I brought it to your attention yesterday.
He texted me yesterday. I was like,
there's talk yesterday with NFL Live that it could be known after midnight on June 1st.
Right, like it's
like we could start the show June 1st with it already being known.
I'll call in.
That it'll already be known.
I'll call
My
in.
gosh.
Now, when Shefty's saying even if the trade doesn't happen until after your show's over, there's going to be plenty of chatter. What new chatter is there actually at this point? Right? Like,
well, it's going to be the
there's nothing new. Like, let's say
No. The new I'm already telling you what the new chatter is going to be. All the people who have had their heads up their collective backsides.
It's the media's fault.
It's going to be the media ran AJ out. He never wanted this.
Well, that's why I ultimately took off.
That's what it's going to be. That's going to be the pivot point. Is going to be, the media again ran off a star athlete.
Well, that's why I took off. I wanted to duck the smoke, dude.
Bull crap on all of you, and you know it.
I didn't want to face the music.
He couldn't be happy. He grabbed that stat sheet. Eagles are 4-0. Happy locker room down in Tampa, and he's going, I'm not getting mine.
Man,
I'm not getting mine.
Can't wait for it to end.
I'm not happy.
One of the best.
Put it to an end,
dude. The best thing about the Sixers and Flyers is the fact that we didn't talk about A.J. Brown for some time. That was the best part. All right, coming up next, speaking of the Sixers, we had Tony Jones on yesterday, our man who covers the Sixers for The Athletic, and he had the great story right after the Sixers got eliminated about what's next for the Sixers, and he made it seem like there's a legit chance that Daryl Morey would be out as the president of basketball operations. Well, we now know that he is, so we'll talk more about it with Tony coming up next. What maybe led to this final straw? Did Daryl Morey still believe he could build around this current group? Why did they make the decision? Well, we'll try to get some answers next. It's Kincaid and Sal Tunis, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Kincaid and Sal Tunis, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. If you want to see their wonderful faces, check out youtube.com/975 The Fanatic Philadelphia. More of Kincaid and Sal Tunis coming your way now.
Yeah, you can see our wonderful faces on YouTube. We appreciate everybody that is a part of the show every single day, whether it's on YouTube, the app, or, Johnny, the old-fashioned radio. Love it. All right.
The old-fashioned
radio, man.
Do you, the majority of time that you listen to content from our station or in radio in general?
Radio.
So you are radio.
Do you know who you're
I am, and I'm not.
talking to?
And I'm not.
I don't know
It's
how to
so
use
funny.
technology.
I do not. By the way, have you seen the Miller Lite soccer ball yet?
No.
Okay. The Miller Lite soccer ball might be the coolest thing I've ever seen. They've launched it for the World Cup. Here is the picture of it.
That's a cool ball.
It's got 12 beers in it.
Oh, nice. Oh, as like you buy it.
And there's 12 beer. It's a 12 beer holder.
I like that.
It is for our YouTube audience. If you haven't seen it, Darren Ravel has listed. It's a match. It's called the match ball.
Okay.
And it holds up to 12 cans.
Can make that work.
It comes with the display stand.
All right.
And it goes on sale on May the 20th at MillerLite.com. It's $19.75.
Yeah, I'm in.
And you buy one. By the way, you can chill it.
Oh, okay.
Too.
That's good. That's
you have chill cans, stick them in,
that's important information.
pull out the beer cans. And you can use that when it's not even soccer season.
That's
So
important.
if you want to watch other, more different sports.
You know what else could be important information?
Yeah.
Talking to our next guest.
Let's
from
do it.
The Athletic.
He might want some. He's had a reason to drink.
We just spoke to him yesterday, and it was the build-up to what ended up being a crazy night in Philadelphia as the Sixers part ways with Daryl Morey as president of basketball operations. Our man Tony Jones has been all over the Sixers beat this year, and he joins us now again, second straight day. Tony, like you said yesterday, it's starting to feel like your family. Well, you are. Like we're brothers in arms at this point.
But it's crazy.
You and I, if people look at us together, they could think that we're twins. Like there is a resemblance with you and me. So Tony, good morning. What's going on, man?
Truly band of brothers.
Damn right. Tony, they part ways with Daryl Morey. So yesterday you were telling us about a lot of the internal conflict that was going on. So I'll ask you for your opinion on the decision to move on from Daryl Morey and whether or not you're surprised by it.
I'm not surprised per se because I think something had to change. You just don't get blown out by the Knicks the way you did, and then the shenanigans that happened at Xfinity on Sunday, and ownership's there, and I know it's not a knee-jerk decision, but it was. I do believe it was kind of like the straw that broke the camel. So you just can't have a series like that and something significant doesn't change. So something had to happen. I thought that there was absolutely no chance that both Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse came back. It turned out to be Daryl, and and away we go. We see what happens with the new hire, and we see where the Sixers kind of go from here.
Tony, do you believe that there is any scenario where Daryl Morey was forced into signing the extension for Joel Embiid? Because there are some that are trying to push it now that, it really wasn't Daryl Morey who wanted that extension, that it came from somebody else.
No. He signed Joel Embiid. He thought that Joel's health would hold up a lot better than it did. And, and that's kind of the job, right? You have to project one way or another, and in some of these things, if it works out, you're a genius, and if not, then it's one of the reasons why you end up at the end of the day getting dismissed. And I didn't think Daryl did a bad job. Like, I did not think he did a bad job this year. I thought that he worked the edges of the roster really well. I love the Barlow signing. But here's the thing, you go 5 or 6 years, you make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, and all 6 of those years, the East is pretty wide open, right? Because you have different teams come out every year, and you not only don't win the East during that time, but you don't make the conference finals. You don't get past the second round. So at the end of the day, ownership just felt like that wasn't enough, and that's why we see a change in leadership.
Was that the decision to move on from Daryl Morey, the lack of success, or do you believe that he still thought, hey, I can make this work with Joel Embiid and Paul George, and the organization believed they wanted to go in a different direction?
Well, I can tell you Daryl was disappointed with the decision because he wanted to see it through. And, and he thought, I can tell you definitively that he thought he had positioned the Sixers well going into the future, specifically with the Clippers picks, from the James Harden trade and things like that. But, the two things that, ultimately tipped the scales against Morey were the fact that obviously, not advancing past the second round in the past 6 years, and, just the chaotic nature behind the scenes of the last 2 years. So those are the two things. Those are the two major reasons why this change is happening. I thought I think Daryl wants to work again. So I think that he's going to take the year, just kind of assess things, and then when the next job cycle opens up next year, he'll probably jump into that, and I would think that he would get a job somewhere as well. So. It was a confluence of things, but, ultimately, this is a results-based business, and the results were that, the Sixers just have not been good enough when you measure them against the elite levels of basketball.
So when you said see it through, and we're speaking with Tony Jones from The Athletic, does a great job covering the Sixers, do you mean Daryl Morey wanted to go into the 26-27 season with both Joel Embiid and Paul George? And do you believe that the organization said, no, we can't do that, so they're bringing somebody in to move on from at least one of the two players?
I do not think Joel Embiid would have been 100% guaranteed to be here heading in. Maybe not heading into next season, but at some point during next season. Now, I am not sure that he would not have been here, because, his contract is really, really going to be difficult to move if that is the decision. But, he's been as untouchable can get. And I do not believe that, he would have been that level of untouchable heading into or at some point during next season. We'll see what happens with the next hire. It'll be interesting to see who the next hire is, and it'll be interesting to see what archetype the next hire is. Does Bob Myers go a little bit on the younger side, or does Bob Myers go a little bit on the more experienced and mature side? Because I think this is going to be a difficult job. I don't think it's going to be an easy job to step into. You're inheriting a coach because, the Sixers ownership very much wants Coach Nurse here. You're going to have to evaluate an entire front office. So that means Elton Brand and and other really good people in the front office. And you're inheriting a tough financial situation that you have to deal with. Now, on the plus side, you're also inheriting Tyrese Maxey and VJ Etchcom. So those are two really good building blocks to inherit. But there's going to be a lot of work to do for whoever is the new hire.
Are you a believer that if Joel Embiid was moved, he would be unhappy to leave Philly, or he'd be maybe potentially relieved?
I think he'd be unhappy to leave Philadelphia. I think, I've covered him for 1 year. But, I think, my opinion in dealing with him is that he's a sincere person who wears his feelings on his sleeve. I think he's one of the most articulate athletes I've ever covered. I think he's super smart and articulate, and I think he says what he means. And, so I take him at his word when he says, I love the city of Philadelphia. I've done a lot for this city, and, I want to spend the remainder of my career here. So, I do hold the opinion that if something were to happen and he were to be moved, that, there would be some lament and regret on his part.
Tony, something really interesting during our conversation with you yesterday was sort of the issues that were going sort of under the surface that not many people knew about publicly with the Sixers. I know this was your first year covering the team, but you've been covering the NBA for a long time. Do you believe the Sixers have culture issues? And do you believe whoever the next guy is, that will be just as big of a job is to fix some of the culture problems the Sixers have if they do indeed have them?
Well, I think just by some of the stuff that got public this year, I think there's no question they have culture issues. Just some of the back and forth, publicly between Embiid and Morey, some of the reactions to the trade deadline, so, it's, one thing that I said before, and I'll say it again, no NBA team is going to be 100% clean when it comes to that. But, they have to, you have to be as much on the same page as possible. And I think it was clear that not everybody has been on the same page, at least this year. So, the person, the new hire that comes in is going to definitely have to deal with that, and definitely have to deal with, evaluating the front office. I do believe, that Coach Nurse is going to be under some pressure to win on a significant level next year, just because of the fact that it's going to be a new GM, and that's the game, right? Any new guy that comes in is at some point going to want to hire his own head coach. So, I think that Nick Nurse is going to be under some pressure to prove, why he should be able to be here or allowed to be here for the long term. So I think that, that's going to be something, and then, you just have to deal with, what it takes to get everybody on the same page internally for this team to ascend or to try to ascend to the top of the Eastern Conference.
Well, Tony, just because the Sixers offseason started doesn't look like your offseason has now that big news like this happens.
Tony, we want to have you come in and hang out with us some morning, so we're going to try to collect a date where you can come on in and hang out. We'll get you some breakfast and try to make you feel welcome.
Does that sound good?
No problem, man. I appreciate you guys. You guys have been great to me. I thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy.
You're the man, Tony. It's been a pleasure having you on all season long. We appreciate the time. We'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely.
There he is, Tony Jones from The Athletic. All right, a lot to unpack there. Coming up next, you heard me bring up the culture thing. Johnny and I were talking about this a little bit yesterday, like just how important culture is. Sometimes it seems like it's an overused term, but then there's some organizations that pride themselves on it.
And talk about it a lot.
Like one in our backyard.
Yep.
In the Philadelphia Eagles.
But do they have it?
We'll see. I also found the Embiid part really interesting.
I do too.
Tinfoil cap theory coming up next. Kincaid and Sal Tunis, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Kincaid and Sal Tunis, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. Andrew John Connor, Kincaid and Sal Tunis, Philly Sports Talk, 97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
All right, still to come. Amy Fadul will be joining us coming up at 9:05. She was in studio with us yesterday, and she would have parted ways with somebody, and the Sixers did that last night. So we'll get her reaction to the decision to move on from Daryl Morey. Now, I don't know. You could tell me if I'm reading too much into this, Johnny. When we had Tony Jones on just now and talked to him about, why was Morey fired? Because there's always going to be something. Is it just, hey, they came short of the goal, and so that's why I got fired? Or did they have some sort of meeting, and did he address his plans? Now, my thought, and you and I talked about this earlier, was did Daryl Morey say to Josh Harris, hey, I can make this work with the guys that we have. Give me an offseason to try to add to this bench or add to some of the players, right? Like, that's what I thought would be the conversation.
Could be.
When I asked Tony basically that, like, hey, did Daryl Morey say, I want both Embiid George here? And, that was the difference of opinions, and that's what's led to his firing.
And going into that meeting, if he really believes that, he knows if the Sixers say no, hell no, get out of here, he knows he gets $12 million.
But was it the other way around? This was Tony Jones responding to that question.
I do not think Joel Embiid would have been 100% guaranteed to be here heading in. Maybe not heading into next season, but at some point during next season. I am not sure that he would not have been here because, his contract is really, really going to be difficult to move if that is the decision. But, he's been as untouchable as untouchable can get. And I do not believe that, he would have been that level of untouchable heading into or at some point during next season.
Now, that was in response to Morey.
Correct.
And there's been this disconnect between Morey and Embiid a lot this year.
Yes.
Is there a possibility, and look, hopefully somebody writes the article on it, is there a possibility that Morey said, hey, I'm going to try to trade Joel this offseason, and ownership said no?
Yes. I don't think you're reading too much into it.
So does ownership want Embiid to still be on the Sixers?
I don't think that's outlandish.
That's what I got. That's what I got out of that answer.
How about this? I don't think that's outlandish. No. I don't think that's an outlandish. I don't think you're reading too much into it. I don't think that is like tinfoil hat or anything like that. That is a very reasonable belief that could be the case.
Which that's not going to make anybody happy. Because everybody wants to move on from. Literally, we have a poll right now. Poll of the day brought to us by Dr. Avedon Appel and Iron Mountain Men's Health. And 62.5% say they want the first order of business for the new Sixers regime to be to trade Joel Embiid. 30% said PG. 8% said run it back one more time. That's what I got out of that clip. Was that Daryl?
I didn't hear it the same way you did. And I wondered why you ran out of here and were like, you heard something.
I wanted to grab the audio.
And then when you play it and I hear it that way, I hear it how your ears heard it. And I don't think that's crazy.
Because it did not come off as the ownership group once Embiid traded. Daryl Morey said, no, I can make this work. It seems like the other way around where Daryl Morey said, I'm going to try to trade him. And ownership may have put the kibosh on it. But that's not good either.
No. But it's crazy, and I'm telling you, I hope that the scenario that you put out there is not true.
Yeah, I hope not. And this is coming from a big Embiid guy. I
hope that's not true.
Enough is enough at this point.
I hope it's not true.
It's been 12 years.
Let's hope that that's not the case.
All right.
Wow.
about that?
That's not bad, though.
All right. I thought I caught something.
No, I mean, I didn't catch it that way. And then I listened to what you said, and I go, oh, okay. I could believe that. Well, first off, it's not tinfoil hat.
Right.
So that's good.
I would just be surprised if the organization was like, no, we want to keep him.
I would be too, but
look, the Bucks and Giannis have been doing it.
Could it be?
Dame in Portland did it for a long time. Organizations fall in love with their star players. Marketability, blah, blah, blah.
Never know.
All right, coming up next, Amy joins us at 9:05. Before we bring up Amy, we bring up the culture discussion. And whether or not we overuse the term, overvalue it. We've seen it work for some teams. Some teams have like the worst culture and they win. Is it overvalued? We'll discuss that next here on The Fanatic.